What's up, everybody? I am John from Keeping It Local. We are here with episode 30 with Ken from Harbor Moving and Storage. Very exciting about this one, especially if you're planning on a move soon. This is going to be a great episode, so definitely tune in to hear all about what Ken and Harbor Moving does. Very excited about this. Ken, what's going on?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
I am very happy to have you because, it's funny. I have never personally used a moving company
Yeah.
in all the times I moved. And the last time we moved, I said, we are budgeting to have movers because I'm never doing this again. Like, I was just done. It was like the third or fourth time. I'm like, I can't believe we didn't budget for this. Horrible. I hate it. When I actually do, um, when I help my clients with like closing costs, I cushion in a couple of $1,000s for moving. I'm like, just in case, if you want to have that cushion in there, if you want to set aside a few $1,000s for moving, I think this would be a great idea. And I always build that in because I'm like, I'm telling you, this sucks. You don't want to do it. It's
You
better to
know,
hire somebody.
even if it's a pleasant move, right? A couple just got married, kids on the way, it's still really stressful. You still have to juggle, you're in the real estate business. You got to juggle closings, banks, attorneys. A lot of people move in the summer months, vacations. There's a lot of factors. Then you got to pack the boxes,
Hmm.
hire a mover or rent a truck. So yeah, it's no fun. I go to people's houses every day, said, how you doing? And it's a loaded question. I know how they're doing. They're not doing well. It's there's a lot on their plate. There's a lot to juggle. So we
Yep.
totally get it. We catch people at a time in their lives when they're kind of in flux. But yeah, setting aside some money in the budget, especially after you get to a certain age, and it's not call your friends for pizza and beer and come help me move. It's let's get some professionals. Let's do this right.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah.
So now that we got that out of the way, let's give me a little bit of background about Harbor Moving and Storage. How long have you been in the business? Tell me all about that.
Yeah. So Harbor, I'm the owner here at Harbor. Started it really 9 years ago, but we really just got ramped up the last couple of years. I come from a family of movers. My grandfather had warehouses, and my uncle, my father had moving companies, still have moving companies upstate New York. And one way or another, I'd be on the truck or in the office doing quotes for most of my life. And so, yeah, when Harbor Moving, I kind of went out on my own a few years back, and now we're based on Long Island, and we're a full service moving company. We do local moves here on Long Island. We can go anywhere in New York State. And we do weekly trips going pretty much up and down the East Coast. A lot of, places I'm sure you could guess where, New Yorkers are moving when they're leaving.
Hmm.
Florida, the Carolinas, that sort of thing. A little Texas, a little Tennessee. But all the hot spots, we pretty much go up and down the East Coast.
Wow. All right. So that is a lot of logistics, huh? Built into that business.
Yeah, exactly. But you get used to like anything. It's somewhat seasonal, right? So you and I were talking before. When the kids finish school, that's really when our season starts to ramp up. Everyone in real estate or whatever, you're trying to line up those closings for the end of June, which we're in right now. Obviously, this is our busy season. Everyone's going everywhere. But yeah. The key to being a good mover or having a good moving company that consistently gets good reviews, it's the back end stuff. It's making sure you're not overbooking. A lot of movers will throw a lot of stuff against the wall, so to speak, hope that it sticks. Almost like an airline, right? Sometimes airlines have a tendency to overbook and they think that a certain amount of people will kind of back out. So we've gotten last week alone, we got 3 or 4 calls from customers that were booked with another mover. A, either the mover didn't show up. B, the mover called them a day or two in advance, said, "Sorry, we overbooked. We don't have a truck." So yeah, logistics is a big factor. You want to make sure that you don't overbook. You want to keep the crews happy, and you want to keep your customers happy. So yeah,
Well, and that's you said exactly what I was going to talk about, customer happiness. Like, but my whole I'm a referral based real estate agent. Like, I don't do like a lot of marketing. I don't do Facebook ads, any of that stuff. My past clients refer me based on a job I did. So for me, customer care is everything. And the amount of I don't have anywhere near the logistics that you have going on, but like the amount of like checklists and things that I have for like a transaction every step of the way, the client stuff is built in there, but that alone creates that client care and that customer service that's so necessary. Because if you fail in that stuff, you're failing the customer, your client. And a lot of times these are like my friends, my family members, friends, family members of good friends, you know? So like you can't drop the ball. Like I can't, when you just said like the mover doesn't show up, I can't even imagine what that must be like and how someone could do that. But the back end stuff is so important to having your front end run correctly and keep your customers happy and get those reviews like you were talking about.
You hit it on the head. And, just like most of our work comes from referrals, friends, family, former customers, realtors that have referred us, designers, decorators, et cetera. So it's all the more important to be on top of that stuff because you start showing a little crack in the system. The boys are running, they're going to be doing 3 jobs today. Maybe we'll see you between 12 and 2. You're starting to make people feel a little antsy. You want to make sure that in this really stressful time, that, even though they're going to be stressed on the back end, that you're doing what you said you would. You're checking in with them. You're making sure that everything goes smoothly. So this way, when they're done, after the dust settles, they go, wow, that was a nice experience.
Mhm.
John, my realtor, kind of walked me through the process and it was, stressful, but he delivered. Or, Ken over at Harbor told me it was going to be this price and the movers would show up at this time. And, they did it. You want to leave, you want them to have a good experience. You can create, raving fans.
Yeah.
And that's how, you do things. And it's very similar to us. The more referrals we get, the better. Most of our business is referral based. So we have to kind of make sure our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. So we keep this moving in the right direction, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes total sense. Tell me about because I saw this on the I don't remember if I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw it from you
Yeah.
one way, shape, or another. Tell me about the one-time pricing situation, and what some of the pitfalls are because I didn't know this again about movers that prices can change. So tell me about that because that you made it kind of a point that that was a big part of your business.
Yeah, very good question. And yeah, so if you speak to people or if you read reviews about movers, one of the top complaints is mover came, took a look, they booked with the mover, day of the move or a couple days later, depending if it was in the state or heading down south or something like that. The price changed. Okay, movers are notorious for this. Movers a lot of times will give open-ended pricing probable cost. Their paperwork at the top literally says probable cost of services. And it's based on a variety of factors. So if you're moving locally, you're moving Long Island to Long Island or, Long Island to Westchester, whatever that looks like, a lot of movers will quote that by the hour.
Uh-huh.
They'll send a salesperson out to the house and say, okay, well, it's looks like it's going to be 4 men, 9 hours. Okay. And salespeople, they do their best to estimate that, but it's hourly, right? So you're stuck with that. So if
Mhm.
it's, I tell people, especially if they're moving from Nassau to Suffolk in the summertime, right? Or if you're moving, let's say, from Nassau to, I don't know, the Hamptons on a Friday, it's July. Traffic, inclement weather, these things could, take an hourly quote up, 50% in some cases. So
Right, right.
when I started this, what I wanted to try to do is get away from the guessing game. Okay.
Mm,
Even if we lost a little bit of money sometimes, it was worth it just to have our clients know this is the price. We call
mm,
it a guaranteed price system. Legally, it's called a binding quote. So we come in, myself or somebody else comes to your home, we do an estimate. We label the rooms in our software system. We put what's coming, what's not coming, anything that you want us to come bring boxes for. We notate that. We go over it together, and that's your price. The only way that would ever change is if you decided to take more or less, and then 2 or 3 days before the move, or latest a day before the move, we come back out. We do another visit. A lot of movers don't do this, and I think it's crucial because from the time we meet someone, or you think of you meet somebody in the beginning, they list their home, they don't move for 4 months later. In some cases, a
right,
lot of things change, right?
right.
Maybe someone was supposed to come get this bedroom set, they didn't come, or maybe they got rid of a lot more stuff, right? So we do another quote 2 or 3 days before called a PMA, a pre-move assessment, just to make sure they're ready. If they're not ready, we go, okay, so here's where we were, and here are some of the added pieces or things you subtracted. And if you've added things on, we say, okay, it's this much more if you want us to do this, or you didn't finish packing your kitchen, you got busy. It's 175 bucks, for example, to pack your kitchen, or we'll bring you supplies today so you can get it done. Last thing we want to do is show up someone's house on move day and say, hey, you owe us more money, and have them
Mhm.
surprised, starting to feel uneasy. So yeah, for us, it doesn't matter how long the move takes, how many movers show up, one truck, two trucks. We look at these factors, but we provide a legally binding quote, a guaranteed quote. Same goes when you're moving out of state. Out of state work is typically done by weight. Movers will charge by pounds.
Okay.
And it's really an old, convoluted way of doing things.
Yeah.
Big companies like the van lines do it. I used to work for one of them back in the day. You'd come in and our software systems will say, okay, well, John, looks like you got 8,000 pounds here. And your price based on that to go to, Miami, Florida is $5,000. They get it on the truck and it's weight based. So they have to go to a weigh station. They weigh it, and all of a sudden, John, I'm sorry, your furniture, it's really heavy. It's quality stuff. You must shop at Ethan Allen, whatever that looks like. Your boxes are full of books. 8,000 becomes, 10,000. You owe the mover 20% more.
Oh
And
my
you're,
God.
what do you do now? It's on the
Yeah.
truck.
Oh,
So for us, those quotes when you're leaving the state are based on space for us. I don't care what it weighs. We've got our moves are strong. We're equipped to do that.
hmm.
It's can I fit it on the truck? How much space you taking? That is a lot easier for us to estimate and for the consumer to estimate. Space. That sort of thing. So
Right.
for us, I don't care what it weighs. We have to go to weigh stations. It's a logistical issue with the DOT, but I don't have to charge on that. So once we got away from that, years ago, that solved so many issues and a lot of back and forth. So,
That's
yeah,
smart.
So those are the two things you want to look for. And what we do a little differently is we just provide a guaranteed price. We don't want to go back and forth with you. It's like imagine you told somebody, my fee is, I don't know, 5%. Roughly, but we'll see at the end. If I've taken you on too many visits or have put in a lot of hours, it could be 6%. Maybe you'd never get any business that way.
No, no. I
But
like that's I would never hire that company with that potential. And you made me think of this when you were saying it, like the whole hourly thing there for me, because I'm like I'm a skeptic in some ways about everything. And if someone's like, "Oh yeah, it's hour," like what is if they're, listen, I'm sure there are plenty of reputable companies that do it hourly and the guys are working hard and whatever. But I'm sure there
100%.
are not reputable companies. And then where is the incentive to work harder, to move faster, to get it done? Like if it's by time, then I'm sure there are some people who are incentivized, like, hey, go, take your time on this one. Like let's get that. I'm sure there are companies that do that, and that alone, out of my head, I'd be like, I'm not paying hourly. That's insane.
You hit it on the head. Most of the companies out there are good companies. I don't knock other companies, but there are a good amount of companies that are a little predatory. They hire, most salesmen. Again, salesmen are usually great. Some of them not so great, right? They
Hmm.
want to make a
Yep.
commission. They'll go to someone who maybe doesn't know anything about moving and say, "Hey, we'll send 3 guys. We'll get this done in 6 hours." Back of their head, they may know that it's 7, 8, 9 hours, whatever they want to get a commission, whatever that looks like.
Right.
And the same thing that it's human nature, right? You get a crew there, and the crew maybe they stop for lunch, maybe they between loading and unloading they stop off or whatever that looks like. There's not a lot of incentive for the crews to move things in a quick way if it's by the hour. This is
Hmm.
you can get there are a lot of great companies that do it by the hour. I'm not saying it's a bad way. It's just too open-ended for us.
Yeah.
I just I've seen it I've been on the other side at companies where a lot of the back end stuff we were talking logistics is calling people, hey, it went an hour and a half over, hey, it went 30 minutes over, hey, we had to pack an extra 10 boxes. Customers have a bad taste in their mouth. You're kind
Yeah.
of nickel and diming people. You're not going to
Hmm.
get a referral at the end of the day that way.
Yeah. No, and
you
I
know
love what you said too about going to the house the day before to do that assessment to make sure that everything's done, because then again, there's no surprises. Like things have changed. Like that's in real estate, we have the final walkthrough. So in
right,
the like just to make sure
just in
that
case.
yeah, and I tell my buyers all the time, I make them aware, like, listen, we're not here to find new things. Like what we're here for is to make sure that the house is exactly the same as it was when you signed those contracts. So if something went wrong, if something, and when I do a final
Sure.
walk, like we have a checklist a mile long. Like we turn on every single faucet, we flush every single toilet, like we check every appliance. And it's also another learning. So it's like I have them turn everything on, where it's like, okay, look,
Right.
you turn the stove on, see if you could figure it out, and you make sure all that stuff works. But the goal isn't to find something and then say like, oh, well, this isn't working anymore. It's like, no, we have to just make sure it's in the same condition. and we're not going to be able
Exactly.
to test everything. Like, if it's December, we're not testing the in-ground sprinkler system, and
Right, right,
the
right, right.
attorneys figure that stuff out. But it's just the idea that you're going in for one last check to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. And it's a comfort factor for both. And for sellers, I'm like, look, don't do anything crazy. Don't paint. Don't,
Yeah,
if you break something now, you got to fix it. Like you went into contract, or we got to give a credit, just keep the house the way it was. So I love that you do that. It's just like, to me, doing right by a client, a customer, is being upfront, being honest, and having that process laid out so they know everything that's going to happen. And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys do.
that's it. It's the whole thing. And like you said, it's so that everybody's on the same page. And for us, make sure they're ready. That's the biggest thing. And also, if they've made changes, we want to know to come with the right amount of supplies, right size truck. That's
Right.
another thing. A lot of movers, customers will add things on, and that doesn't make them bad people. They change their mind. They didn't get rid of stuff, and all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, the mover has one truck, but they really need two. We
Right.
want to know that before the move. Otherwise,
Otherwise,
or
you're not
make
moving.
otherwise the day gets a little tricky. It becomes a rat race. You're trying to
Mm-hmm.
get a truck, your other guys are out. Maybe you got to get a U-Haul. So yes, it's a win-win, just like your final walkthroughs in real estate. It's just, it's not looking to nitpick anybody. It's just making sure everybody lived up to their end of the bargain and everything looks good.
Right.
No surprises. That's the big thing.
That's that the my I actually made this quote, and I'm very proud of it because I use it all the time, and even some other real estate agents love it. Um, I coined this in like 2020. A good real estate agent puts out fires, but a great real estate agent prevents fires. And
Yes,
that
that's
can
great.
go to any business. It's like, if you're good, you could problem solve and figure it out. If you're great, you stop those things before they happen.
You can get ahead of it.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep.
And honestly, that comes more from like my teacher side of my life, because
Yeah.
when you're dealing with special education high school kids, you've got to plan ahead really, really well, because you got to know like where they're going to have trouble, where the pitfalls are, where they're going to get stuck, where you might lose their attention. You got to like plan ahead for all that stuff, and it just helps you to build something that prevents all those bad things from happening. And I took that and just said, all right, how do I do this in real estate now? Like, I know how transactions go. Like, how do I prevent and you can't prevent every problem. You don't have a crystal ball, but
Of
you
course.
prevent as much as you can from your experience so that it doesn't happen and everything is as smooth as possible.
Yeah, like your background in teaching, you need a lesson plan, right? You can't just show up and you can't wing it.
Yeah, yeah. And if you do, some people can, but
Some people can.
I've seen people who try, and I see myself try, and sometimes it goes south real
Yeah,
fast, and not for moving in a
exactly.
fun way.
Exactly, 100%. Yep.
All right. So tell me something that like every homeowner should know when they're thinking about moving. Common mistakes, red flags. How do they prepare like a pro for a move?
So there's a lot to look out for, and there's a couple of different sides of it. And you're on the real estate side, so a lot of clients will come to me and they'll say, "Hey, I'm going to list my home next week." And I think we'll be moving in the next 2, 3 weeks. I said, no, if you're in New York State, it's going to take a little longer than that. You get an accepted offer, then the banks, and I don't have to tell you any of that. It's a process. So, and also on the other side of that is, if you're going to be packing your boxes and prepping for a move, especially full house, you got kids or whatever, or even if it's a downsize, just as hard, you got to go through everything. So besides working or taking care of kids or whatever your life looks like, you have to, uh, an average size job has about 100 boxes or bins, or we call them cartons, right? So you got to pack those, right? Unless you're having the mover do that for you. Um, and when our clients are packing, it takes them a lot longer. You start going to the attic or the garage, and oh, I haven't seen this in a while. You kind of, there's a sentimental part of it that it just takes you longer to do it. It's your stuff. Or, you or your spouse, one wants this, the other one doesn't want that. There's a lot of time and a lot of factors and things you have to decide on to get ready. So I tell people, once you're deciding on moving, create a timeline. Okay, we're going to pack, I don't know, 10 boxes a week. Okay, or we're gonna, if it's a downsize, We're going to try to, purge 10 bags a week or something like that. So just that planning, getting a checklist, we send out once customers book with us, we send them a checklist, things that you want to maybe prepare for or start thinking about because move day it's inevitably going to creep up on people. No, even if you're a great planner, things move quickly, life gets in your way, and all of a sudden, the lawyer calls you, the realtor calls you, and hey, we're closing on Friday. So the
Yep.
more you can be ready for that, just lining up your logistics, packing your boxes, just going through and making sure you got all your T's crossed and I's dotted. There's just a lot to coordinate and think about, and getting ahead of that early. Just like when you're in school and you have that big report due at the end of the year. Don't wait till the weekend before, little by little. Just try to kind of keep moving in the right direction with that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I try and tell my clients, and everything you said is like spot on. I love what you said about the purge because it reminded me. One of the first things I say to my clients when they're getting ready is like, oh, gonna get a storage unit. I'm like, don't get a storage unit, get a dumpster,
Yes.
and fill that first before you decide to store anything. No, if I know storage is part of your business, and I'm not like you should definitely use storage and everything, but like there's so much stuff that you can just toss that you don't even think about before you really want to start saving a lot of stuff. Like it's always to me, it's always like get a dumpster, fill that, and then figure out what you're gonna do after that.
You hit it on the head, and don't worry, we won't go out of business because of your advice. Storage is inevitable, but it's funny. When I first started, storage was a big part of moving, but now it's a bigger part. Think of any town in Long Island, there's probably a storage unit that's there or has been built in the last 5 years. It's big
Yep.
business.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, if you can purge, people put things in storage and they think it's going to be temporary. But then, like we're just talking about, life gets in the way. It's in storage. Maybe it's only whatever, $150 a month. You kind of get used to that bill. 2, 3 years later, I have people in storage with stuff that they were just looking to get out of the way to stage for their move. They forgot about it. They're still paying the bill. Get a dumpster. You're right.
Yeah.
100%. That's the first thing you should do, especially if you've been in the house for many years, 30, 40 years, right? It's a downsize. Get the dumpster, call family and friends, put them to work for a weekend, and just start getting rid of that stuff because, we have so many clients in storage. We're happy to have them, but they're paying us for 2, 3 years when it was supposed to be a 1 or 2 month project. And I'm guilty of it too. And I've been doing this my whole life, but I was on the other side of it. My wife and I were getting ready to move before we had kids. An apartment, we put stuff to stage for a little bit. The realtor said, get rid of this, and that. I kept it in a storage facility for, I want to say, 18 months.
Hmm.
And then finally, we're like, wait a second, look how much we've spent on this stuff and the value of that stuff. It was totally lopsided. So
Yeah.
you hit it on the head. You get a dumpster to get ahead of that kind of stuff. But yeah, little by little, make a checklist and start checking things off. And you'll make it to the finish line in good shape if you do it like that.
I love that. I love that you send a checklist right away. Like that's the first whenever we take on a listing and we're getting ready for the photos, the first thing we do after we've like gotten to that stage is we send a home enhancement checklist. And it's like,
Yeah,
there's and it's extensive, but I always tell them like you don't have to do all these things. Some of these things are already done. Like this looks
right.
great already, but if you're feeling ambitious and you want to really have your house stand out for those photos, take a look at this and just, if you want to knock a couple things off or you feel like there's a need that you can meet, go for it because it's only going to make your home better. But again, it's preparing the client for what's going to happen, and I just find that so relieving because
Yeah,
you're paying a good amount of money for a service, like whether it's real estate or moving, whatever. Like the whole process is expensive,
yeah,
and I don't know, people. I feel like we sometimes I get into this trap of like it's about knowing everything, and then I have to remind myself like it's not about knowing every single thing that could happen because a million things could happen. It's just about making sure that you're informing them, keeping them informed. You have a process that they could follow that they feel comfortable with. And look, like stuff comes up. Like there's nothing you could do. Like it's gonna happen. It's just how you handle it and how prepared they are. And I feel like if you're in communication all the time with the clients and you keep them aware and they know what's going on, like you're gonna have success in whatever business it is, but especially in this business because people are they're paying premiums. Like real estate agents are
yeah.
getting paid a lot of money. Like and moving, that's like there's so much more going on in a move, but it's again, it's definitely a pricey endeavor. To me, if the company and or the agent, whoever it is, if they're communicating and they have the systems and they have the logistics and everything's in place to make that smooth and for there to be no like monetary surprises, I find that to be very comforting. And to me, like the business will just excel from that point on.
You, you hit it on the head, and you're in sales and we're in a kind of similar line of work. How many times do you buy something or you pay for a service and all of a sudden like charges keep coming up, or hidden, I don't want to say hidden fees, or
No,
it's
but it's like
just
an upcharge. Like, oh
an
well,
upcharge.
here's the next thing. It's like I just wanted this.
Right, you rent a car, it's this price, and all of a sudden, okay, well, we can get you this, and the insurance. We didn't talk about the insurance, but you're there, well, and it's like, okay, well, just let's just be upfront, right? Like you said, things are going to come at you, but the more prepared you can make your buyers or sellers or
Yeah,
clients. Like you said, they're paying us a lot of money. There's no doubt about it. Moving is a big ticket item. Listing with a realtor, it's totally valuable. It's a lot of money, so
yeah,
you want to make sure you're getting your money's worth.
yeah. We actually so we started doing a pricing menu for our sellers where we have like our like this commission, like we have X, and then we have everything we do with this commission, and then we have the next commission, and then it's like everything in this column plus these things, and then we have the top tier where it's like we have everything from the previous two plus these things, just so that clients have some choice where it's like, all right, I don't, I might walk into a listing and they don't need the luxury market. They don't
Right.
need that marketing. They don't need the single property website with like the
Yep.
mailers going to the Wall Street Journal. Like they don't need that, but some properties do. So they have that choice. And it makes them feel comfortable too from, the feedback I've gotten where it's like, okay, well, I know exactly what I'm getting. I know exactly what you're going to do. And then we list out a complete timeline of the marketing of everything that's going to happen from
Oh, wow.
like the first meeting until closing day. Like we have every bulleted thing that we're going to hit in that time period. So like from signing paperwork to like the first day that the property is like coming soon through accepting offers through contract and then a closing, like they get to see a step by step of all the things that are going to occur. So again, it's like making them feel comfortable where
Yeah.
like I don't like the magician approach. Like I don't like that. I don't like, hey, we're gonna come in, we're gonna do this, we're gonna sell your house like that, and boom, you don't even have to think about it. Some people like that. It's not me. I want to show you like here's every single thing that I want them to see like I'm gonna earn this
Right.
check from you. Like there's gonna be a reason why you pay me in the end, and it's not gonna be magic. It's like it's actually a full laid out plan, step by step, that's been like worked over time.
Yeah. Here's the value of what we're doing, and here's why you're paying me. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Same here. And we send, besides the communications, we send the email that goes out, after they book with us, like kind of like a checklist, and then the week before we send I call it a funny mail, what to expect when moving, and then it's a checklist. Okay, the movers are coming this week. Here's how we get paid. Here's some last minute things you want to do. You want to call the cable company, Verizon, whatever that looks like, because you might have to return the box. A couple reminders that we're going to call the day before to confirm. The morning of the move, our system, once our crew gets in the truck, the crew will press a button and it's connected to our GPS. The movers will be arriving in 37 minutes. They're going to get a text.
nice.
All these things. So this way, again, they're prepared, we're prepared, we're all on the same page. We're adding value. We're at least showing them why you're paying us the money you're paying us.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what you're also doing is you're setting expectations right away. And then your clients never have to worry that you're not showing up because they're getting that
Yeah.
information. So if they weren't getting it, they know something was wrong. Like something had to have gone haywire because they're not getting the information from Harbor anymore.
Right. They're not getting, and right. If you don't check in and, look, if your clients don't hear from you for a couple days or a week, they start to get a little antsy, right? Even if there's no news,
Yep.
we try to check in at least weekly, because I've worked for companies, and if they don't hear from you, they think maybe you disappeared, or they just get nervous, right?
Yep.
So that kind of constant check in with an email or a text or, a phone call, just checking it. Even, if the move's a month out. Hey, Mrs. So and so, how you doing? How are things? Any changes? Any questions for us? I know we haven't spoken in 6 weeks, but just that they feel easier once they start calling you for updates. Then kind of like you're kind of playing from behind, I think, a little bit.
I hear another agent who's great, and he says it all the time. If they're calling you, like you made a mistake, and
Yeah,
I would agree with that like 90% of the time. Like if they are calling you with something that you should have called them, then that's on you. Like you
yeah,
didn't update them. I love that. Like I do say like every Monday, it's just like if I'm at school, it's like I'm sending a text to like clients that we have deals going or whatever. If it's now it's like now it's a phone call because I'm out, so it's easier.
yeah.
And just yeah, just checking in. And so let me ask you, it sounds like your customer service is top notch. Like how many 5-star Google reviews do you guys have?
I think right now we just started ramping up. Our rating on Google is 5 stars.
I'm sure. I doubt you even get a 4-star in any column at this
We
point.
we have not gotten, knock on wood, we haven't gotten a bad review. I know eventually it's going to happen. It's just the nature of the business. Someone can be upset about something, whether right or wrong. But yeah, we're 5 stars on Google, A+ on the Better Business Bureau, 5 stars on Angie's List, Facebook. So we're on all those sites, and
Yeah.
so far, we're doing really good with that. And, I don't want to pat myself on the back or the team, but it's because of the things we're talking about right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You do things the same way. A lot of companies, like we were, they're playing from behind, or they've got to, they're not doing the things we're saying. They're not going to get any reviews, or they're going to get poor reviews. So,
Hmm.
listen, and once in a while, there'll be a situation where might be an issue with the truck. The truck arrives late. If we get ahead of that, and just set the expectation. Hey, listen, we're really sorry. The crew's not going to be there at 9. They're going to be at 10:15. Here's why. We're going to send some extra resources to kind of move this along. You take it something that might be an issue or a red flag or cause someone to leave you less than 5 stars, and they'll leave a review saying this happened, but they did right by me.
Yep.
And not to jump ahead too much, but once in a while, manual error, right? Something gets damaged, right? Movers are notorious for they try to conceal the damage, deny the damage, or customer calls to file an insurance claim, the mover disappears, or they're stuck in the mud. 6 months
Hmm.
later, I see these reviews all the time. The second someone has any damage or an issue or whatever that looks like, everything in our office kind of stops. We want to get that done right away because it's not fun. It's like doing one of those, making like those, you have a list of things to do, and like the one call you don't want to make, you want to do it at the beginning of the day. Otherwise, it's just sitting in the back of your head. You might push it to another day. So we try to, if we've made a mistake, we own it, we apologize, and we try to rectify it right away. And some of the reviews I get are, they did this, but they took care of it. They were right there. They sent a handyman out, within 48 hours. To me, those are good reviews to have because it shows we're not going to walk away from these issues if there are.
Hmm.
We can't be perfect all the time.
Yep.
We know once in a while, maybe a 4-star review, hopefully nothing lower. They could come our way, but we want to do our best to kind of rectify any issues before they come bigger issues.
You took the words right out of my mouth. You can't be perfect. Like nobody can. Like there's human error. Like it's natural. It's going to happen. But the fact that you do take ownership of it is phenomenal. I've told the story before, but it like one of my first listings with my new brokerage, the client had specifically said they don't want to sign in the yard before X. I don't remember. Like
Yes.
before Tuesday. Like they wanted to
Right.
wait until X to get the sign in there. And I did not, that was the one thing in my notes that didn't go through. So the
Yes.
sign went in right away, and he was like big, scary man. Veteran, like Vietnam veteran or Korean veteran. Like it's just you don't mess with this guy.
Yeah.
Um, so the sign people came and he was like, "Get off my lawn." I said, "There's," kicked them out. They were not have. So I went over there, and the daughter was like, "Yeah, yeah." I'm like, "Let me go over." And so I spoke. I went in, and he was like, "I just want to know if that was you or the brokerage." And I'm like, "No, it was me." Like, I
Yeah.
could have totally just said, "Oh yeah, the brokerage screwed up," whatever. I'm like, "No, it's my mistake. Like, I screwed up. I apologize. Won't happen again." And he was just like, "Okay," then like didn't bat an eye.
Right. And I bet that guy or that customer could have sensed a lie a mile away. Right. But no, it was, I told so and so, but it was the sign people. People don't want to hear that.
Nope.
People love honesty. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Even if, you put your hand, listen, sorry, that was me. And yeah, they love that. That makes things, I think, even better.
yeah. That was the first one of the first things I learned was like you're better off just owning it, like you said, owning it, apologize, let me make it right for you, because
Yeah.
that's going to build way more trust anyway than
Right.
feeling like someone's like weaseling out of something and not honest. Like the trust is
Exactly.
built through that ownership of like, yeah, look, I'm not perfect. Like I make
Right.
mistakes, but if I do, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna fix it. Like I will solve the problem. I will not let that problem become your problem. Like I will figure it out.
Yep. There you go. Exactly.
It makes a world of difference. Um,
100%.
so I guess what is something that aside from like throwing stuff out and everything, like what would you say is a good thing for like let's say so so bad. Like when I was younger, like I know some of the companies we use, like they did these things, they send checklists and everything, but I feel like the younger people don't necessarily look at that stuff or follow it
Yeah.
along because they get so swept up in it. So, what's some advice you could give to someone who's on the fence about like, should I get like a young couple, first time home buyer, and they have maybe like an apartment or something and they have stuff and they're like, oh, we'll do it. What's your advice to someone, or what would you say to someone who is on the fence about moving and isn't like an elderly person obviously who needs to hire movers, but
Yeah, like meaning they're not sure the value of hiring a mover, right? We're young,
yes,
maybe
yeah,
we can do
that
it
was a
ourselves.
horrible question. I should really
No, no,
redo
no,
it, but
no.
I
That
don't
was
edit.
I think I had it. I just want to make
Yeah,
sure I got
young couples on the fence, we'll do it ourselves or hire a mover. What should they do?
so yeah, that's the tough one, right? Because and I've been in that spot before, right? You think you can
Me
do it,
too.
you're strong, you're young, you got energy. The bottom line is you got to look at how much stuff is in your house. I mean, get a couple quotes for moving, even if you're not sure you want to hire a mover. Let us explain the size and scope of the work. A lot of times I'll say to people, it could be, and a lot of times it is younger couples, right? Or just younger people in general. Um, Even if you did this on your own, if I came here, it would take me four men, four movers, 9 hours, basically a truck and a half or two trucks. I said, so think about that from your perspective. I'm coming in with 150 moving blankets. I have shrink wrap. I have corrugation for your floors and for your banisters. Of course, you don't need that kind of stuff, but this is what's involved in making sure that things arrive safe and sound. Plus, again, four movers, they do this every day. They know the shortcuts. There's efficiency in what we do. Going to take them 9 hours. So think about what that might look like in your schedule. And then, you'd kind of do like a cost analysis, right? If I'm going to take a day or 2 days off of work, if I'm moving locally, or if I'm moving to, I don't know, North Carolina, I want to drive the U-Haul, it's, a day and a half down there, plus the day to load, plus the day to unload. You look at, okay, so how much money is it going to cost me, versus how much is it going to cost to hire a mover? Of course, the mover is going to cost more, but it might not be as big of a difference as people think in a lot of cases.
Mm,
One of the big things is I give everyone a price to pack the boxes, even if they don't ask, right? Because
hmm
some people say, no, I'm going to do it. So that's fine. I'm just going to show you the cost for if we came in ahead of your move and we packed everything, the kitchen, the closets, the bedroom, bathrooms, attic, etc. About 20% of the time I give people the number and they go, oh, that's totally worth it, right? Because
yeah,
you think
yeah.
about how much it's going to cost to go get the supplies, all the runs back and forth with your, put the seats back in your car, getting, 5 or 6 trips to Home Depot, and then the actual physical labor of packing the boxes. So, we get a lot of business just by pointing out, here's what it is, and we can do it for you. And they go, ah, okay, yeah, please do that. So, but yeah, long story short, if you're thinking about doing a movie yourself, totally fine. I'm sure you can, but just, get a quote or two, let the mover explain what they're going to do. And that might change your opinion as far as the size and scope of the work and how much you're willing to do, or what your time is worth, right? You might say, okay, well, this is locally, day and a half, and that's, I make X amount per hour, and this isn't worth my time, so it could be something like that.
That you just that was my biggest thing when you were saying that was time. The
Right.
amount of time it's going to take, like, because you're bringing in a crew. Like the amount of time it's going to take you, even if you have, your friends come over and whatever, you're going to stop. You're going to crack a beer. Like you're going to
Yeah,
have to have lunch. Like,
100%.
there's that the time it takes to do it is such a big factor, especially the older that you get, the less time you have. When you're younger, yeah, you might have more time. I'm going to go
Yeah.
back to what I said before. Build it into your closing costs. Like build the moving costs into
Yes.
your closing costs because it like I remember the moment when I was like, this is the worst idea I've ever had. Because like my wife and I were in a co-op in Rockville Center and we were in a 1 bedroom co-op and then her dad had like a 2 bedroom, like 2 floors up. So we moved from that one bedroom to the two bedroom, and I remember it not being that bad. But then one
Yeah.
of the bedrooms became like the junk room where,
Yeah.
we were storing furniture in there. It just got filled with shit. And on moving day, it took like 3 hours for me and like our CrossFit coach at the time, Jeff
Yeah.
Blasco, CrossFit Sees the Day, Rockville Center. Shout out.
Shout out.
They were awesome. Jeff and like a couple of CrossFit people came, but it was really like Jeff and me and this dude was like shredded, just in great shape.
Yeah.
We moved out that whole room. It took like 3 hours to do that room because we're going up and down in a stupid elevator, the ground
Right.
level to sixth floor. By the time we got to my house, I was like, I hate every minute of this. Like I was just so done. It was such and and again, I was young. That was 8 years ago now. And well, I was
Right.
younger. I'm like never again. That was the moment where I was like, there's no reason to do this. I just, they did it out of the goodness of their heart, but I just imposed on their day by like 3 hours.
Sure.
They're
You,
having me
you
help.
you called
Um,
in a favor. You might not have another one left, so that was it.
I'm definitely tapped out. I bought them all. Like we did like a catered breakfast there the week later, but
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
again, that was another cost, renting the U-Haul, the time. Then I had to have my buddies here where I moved, and my buddies helped me unload the truck. So it was just like all those things where it's like, build it into your closing costs and just be done with it. Just get it done, and then you're
Yeah.
finished, and have the professionals do it correctly. And with you, you get pricing up front, so you don't even have to worry about that stuff.
Exactly. Very few clients tell us it wasn't worth it. I wish I did it myself. We don't get that. They go, wow, that was great. I can't believe how fast that was. I didn't have to do anything. Beds are set up. Well, it's so like you said, even
Oh,
a
you
small
set
move
up the
like,
beds too?
yeah, we take apart things like dining room tables, beds. We put them when we're done. Everything is staged. The rugs are laid out, the beds are set up, the furniture is where you want it. The boxes are in the right room, so you can prioritize what you want to get to right away. We even offer like unpacking the boxes, which some people love and some people don't.
Okay.
The plus is we unpack everything. You don't have to do it. We take away the supplies. It's great. The minus is 100 boxes, right? Your new home, you don't know where everything goes, and we've just unpacked 100 boxes, and you have to make quick
Right, right,
decisions on the
right.
spot. So, but yes, in a basic move, we put the beds back together, we stage everything, so you don't even have to do that.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, listen, I know you're busy and you probably got other stuff to do, but this was great, super informative. I would highly recommend you guys. What's the best way to for someone to get in touch with you guys and figure out the logistics of possibly getting Harbor Movers in there?
Yeah, just go to the website. It's Harbor Movers, movers.com. We're in Syosset. We have warehouse space in Hauppauge and in Suffolk County, or call us 516-964-7111. But yeah, we're always around. There's always somebody. Even after hours, we have live operators 24/7 who get us a message or at least get on the phone with you, answer some basic questions. But yeah, call us or reach out on the website anytime. We're happy to help.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to say that this concludes episode 30. Ken, thank you for coming on again. Harbor Moving and Storage. It sounds like you guys do awesome work. So, if
Thanks,
you're looking,
John.
yeah, hey, listen, if you're looking for movers out there, anybody who watches this, I would highly recommend calling these guys, and I'll put their links in the comments. But Ken, thank you again.
Thank you, John. Have a good
I
day. Thanks so
I
much.
didn't mean for that to rhyme, but Ken, thank you again. That sounds good.